Hello there. Welcome back to Shelf Indulgence. We're going to be having a look at Attack of the Clones today. I'm going to start with the gimbal and I am going to pan over here, and then after that I'm going to go handheld actually. Gimbal's really good, but the thing is, like with the episode I did previously for Phantom Menace, I could hold it there. Still, kind of. But I'm talking and I'm moving it now obviously, but you kind of get that effect. I mean, if you did put the footage in, if you sped the footage up, it would look like that actually. But it's funny, when you have got a camera on a gimbal, one fixed thing, you can see it moving. It's all right for long shots and bloody blah. And I can hold it still, but when I'm talking and expressing myself, plus you can't get in behind stuff, man. Like, I wanted to show you him last time, and I'm using the gimbal now. Very difficult to get in there. If I was just handheld, I'd be able to. But still, lots of fun anyway. I do like showing you the shelves. Not that much to show you, funnily enough, for Attack of the Clones. What we've got is this shelf here. We start here and we go across and we have sort of, the early events, things on Camino, as you can see there. I have put on there Geonosis stuff as well. And then below, I've decided to just have all the Jedi in a cluster. And I do like these figures. They've obviously been subsequently beaten by super articulated figures and stuff, but they were what they were. They were statues. I like them. And then we go over to some figures that depict the Battle of Camino. Not Camino, what am I talking about? The Battle of Geonosis. And then here is Camino. Right, so that's it. It's funny. I think I used to have Attack of the Clones on more shelves than that, for loose figures anyway. And then we have other items, ladies and gentlemen. As you remember from the last episode, these are corner shelves. They aren't in a corner, but they work very nicely, running alongside adjacent, whatever you want to say, to the horizontal shelves. There's a vertical column, which is nice for mini rigs and such like. Going back up to the top, you've seen this before, but that's Phantom Menace stuff. We go down to some beasts from Phantom Menace, from the Gungan army, and then we are met with these two, which are awesome. I do like these two creatures. Never used to float my boat, the idea of getting creatures and beasts in Star Wars, but the more you collect, the more you expand your horizons, and beasts are somewhere I went. That doesn't sound right. Collecting creatures was something I embraced eventually. Let's go and have a look over here. These shelves, if you are new to my channel, are my Tatooine shelves. I'll pull right back. Lots of original trilogy there, but we do go and have some... We do go down to some Phantom Menace stuff as well, because there were events on Tatooine there too, as well as things like Book of Boba Fett and things like that. That's why down there we've got some stuff, and we have some Return of the Jedi. These are Phantom Menace, a prequel trilogy. Then this is like the Cantina, and we've got the Homestead, the droid sale, Mos Eisley, or at least Anchorhead styley stuff. What's it called now? Toshi Station. And then other things from Tatooine. Beasts are above. But I like the idea of having creatures now, and these are definite ones you need. And of course you've got the Acklay, which you saw, hopefully you saw it earlier, just on the top there. We'll have a good look at that later. My plan is to get the Fambaa on the top. You saw the Fambaa in the last episode. I was just filming him, he wasn't where I want him to be. Eventually I'll get him on the top shelf, and I'm going to move all the Gungan army to join him, I think. I'm going to get them out of there. Just have some loose figures dotted around there maybe. Going to find a new location for the Darth Maul stuff. This is kind of, as I've said before, and I'll say it again just for the purposes of clarity, this top shelf here is a collection of figures depicting the emergence of the Sith, the training and revelation of Darth Maul and Sidious. Well, you don't see Sidious in Phantom Menace, but as far as they were concerned, he was just a random attack dog that came out of nowhere, Darth Maul, and they thought they'd seen the back of him, but no. All the time there was this gentleman in the wings as well, the turning of Darth Tyrannus, or Count Dooku. There is the Acklay, ladies and gentlemen, on the top, so we'll just start by having a look at that. I do like the Acklay, and thank you very much to Polyalloy Mario. Sorry man, he's a 3D printer, and he made me that base right there. I have elevated the base because the Aclay's claws do go, let me just see if I can do this, deep into it. So I had to put the base itself on some little pedestals there to rise it up a bit. Just on the end there, you've got two figures which individually aren't special, but collectively or together, they make a really good twosome for the lightsaber fight, which I do like that moment. I actually thought Anakin was going to have him. The first time I went to the cinema, he really annoyed me to Count Dooku. I've said that before. But I thought, come on, Anakin, you do some damage. And he had his arm chopped off, man. I was like, what? Because Dooku didn't seem as impressive as this gentleman did. You know, he was bouncing around everywhere, Darth Maul. He looked like he was going to kill him. But this old man was just like all over them. It was 2-on-1. What? Anyway, over here, ladies and gentlemen, yes, that is Revenge of the Sith / Clone Wars. But I just want to draw your attention to another significant piece I have in my collection for Attack of the Clones. It is the, of course, Republic gunship. Amazing ship. You'll see Captain Fordo in there. These shelves are not yet done. It's going to be kind of Clone Wars, Mandalorian stuff in here. As you'll see, the armorer's thing is in there. It's a total mess. I don't even want to film it. But I used to have the Republic gunship hanging off that hook there. But when I acquired this this beast here, the ACT, what's it now? The ARC 170. I had to move it back. I couldn't have both together. I didn't realise how big that was. My plan was to have both together somehow within these arches, but it's not quite worked yet, so I'm getting to the bottom of that. Brilliant, brilliant. I've got separate videos if you want to see more of that, you know, seek them out on my channel, but that's a beautiful vehicle, that. Ladies and gentlemen, where do we go from here? What else have I got for Attack of the Clones? Oh yes, indeed. If I go down here, I've got a separate review of it as well. The ATTE. The ATTE. I might film that a bit later on in the video if you bear with me. It doesn't look so good down there. It's the only place I've got for it, just below the ATAT. The All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer is a wonderful vehicle. Get hold of it if you can for Attack of the Clones. Would be great to see it repacked in the vintage collection, wouldn't it? Right, I think I'm going to go handheld now. Let's have a look at some of these loose figures. Oh no, before we do that, just to the left of the corner shelves, I have a few vehicles going down. That's not anything to do with Attack of the Clones, although she does fly in with it. Actually, this is quite funny. Very, very significant and iconic for Phantom Menace, but inside the cockpit, I've actually put Padme, because the first thing you see in Attack of the Clones is Padme, and she's got R2 with her. So technically, these three vehicles here, 1, 2, 3, are all Attack of the Clones relative. So you've got Padme in the N1, and we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I love this ship. I love this ship. That really should have been in the vintage collection as well. In fact, it's crazy. They've got card backs. On the backs of card backs from 2012, they have this vehicle advertised as being in the vintage collection, but it never was. They gave you the Revenge of the Sith one. Down here we have Anakin Skywalker on a speeder bike there. That's great. That's the Lars, the actual speeder bike that you got from around 2002, I guess it was. But that's a modern Anakin figure, a nice one. The latest TVC Anakin one. Down here, ladies and gentlemen, you have, this is ironic, that figure right there was designed to go onto this bike here. It's such a weird figure. He looks insane, but actually, as you may have remembered, if you're new to my channel, again, you won't know this, but that figure looks absolutely incredible on top of Zam Wessel's speeder, which I have just on that hook there. That little, what do you want to call it? Bracket. Now, he is actually without his robe, and he has his lightsaber ignited. He never lit his lightsaber on that. It's just a figure for play, feature, value, whatever. I'm on the gimbal still here. I can't wait to get rid of the gimbal so I can go handheld, but I just love it. So if you are with that figure and not sure what to do with it, or don't like it, or want to buy a speeder bike, not for that figure, that's what you can do with that figure. You could even possibly have him on the Reek. So he's the Reek, isn't he? The Reek, the Nexu, or something like that, and then the Acklay is the crab thing you saw before. Love it. So that's the situation there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's pan down. Trying to be creative here with the gimbal, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I think I can show you. Oh no, there is one more vehicle, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. I just have that one parked. I have tried putting two figures in there, Obi-Wan and Anakin, but it's a tight squeeze, even with the super articulated ones. So I just have it parked. It's a lovely vehicle, though. It's very nice. That's got nothing to do with it. It came with something that I can't remember off the top of my head. Under pressure, I'm trying to be quick. But, yeah, I just have that part there. But it's a beautiful design, that speeder. Relatively affordable. Should we go, ladies and gentlemen? Should we have a look? Oh yeah, there is a little bit of a continuation of Attack of the Clones there, and then it moves into the Clone Wars. Let me just get Ventress standing up. More specifically, this shelf here is the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars. Let me just be clear about that. They're very well spaced out. I could technically push them together and get some more space if I needed it in future. Let's get closer in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it. So let us indeed start where we left off, which was the very end of Phantom Menace. As you see, you've got the three of them there, the funeral pyre of Qui-Gon Jinn. Then we have a new addition to the shelves, a custom that was made for me. That's Count Dooku as he would have looked maybe a little bit before Phantom Menace. He'd probably need greyer hair, but a younger Dooku than he was in Attack of the Clones. These figures here, I've changed my mind. See, I used to have all of these with my Attack of the Clones politicians, because that figure is definitely an Attack of the Clones Palpatine. A decade after Phantom Menace, that's how he would have looked. So probably a little bit of a mix-up there by having this younger Anakin there, but I wanted to just show you a little bit of, Sidious. I wanted him with Anakin, because straight away he would have been around him for that whole 10 years, pulling at strings. So strictly speaking, that's a Phantom Menace figure on paper, but technically that would be post Phantom Menace for that Anakin anyway. So over we go here. This is usually where I would have had the Sidious. He's not even Sidious. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine figure would have gone with these guys. Some of these are actually Revenge of the Sith characters. Those films are so close to each other anyway that these characters would have all mixed. They're all just politicians. You see, she's very much a Revenge of the Sith character, as is, I believe, that one of Organa, Bail Organa, his wife. But, it's all relative. I just like to just group people together. They're all political, aristocratic folk. And then we have this here. You've got Padme here. She would have landed her N1 by then. And this gentleman, the new Captain Panaka, almost. It's almost like they couldn't get that actor back. I don't know what happened there. Very interesting. So maybe some of you know. Very important that we introduce our key villains. We have, of course, Zam Wessel and Jango Fett. Got so many Jangos. You've got to, I find I need to spread them. Don't want too many too close together. So we've got one without a helmet there. And then I've got some others later on, just to give them a good balance. I don't want too many all together, because there's so many different Jangos. You got to know where to place them. Speaking of Jango, I forgot to mention him before. Just above the Acklay, not the Acklay, God, the Reek and the Nexu. I've got this Jango here. That's the one that has the head that comes off. And I love it. He's just in flight, man. He's not even stuck on there. I've got it so that he hooks on. And it's just, with the way the gravity is and his legs are kinking up like that, it keeps him in one fixed position. Love it. Then we have the Younglings. Very important we see that. I did used to have these figures of the Younglings stood in front of an Anakin figure. We're about to slaughter them, but it's nice to see them all just doing what they're doing. You can alternate it. I think I've gone through periods in my time on shelves having this Anakin stood with them, man. But there's a training Yoda. That's from the 2002 line on his little translucent floater. At the back there, a figure I need to refresh. That's a beta that I got in a job lot years ago. I'm talking years, and he's got no accessories. He's really battered, but I wouldn't mind getting hold of a Dexter Jetster, Boss Bounty's favourite character. Would you believe it? It's amazing how that guy, he loves this character. And I need to replace him. Get rid of that one. Then we have our heroes. I love these two, just stood together. You've got the Vintage Collection Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that is the second release of the Black Series version of Anakin. And I don't think they did it as good here. This is the Vintage Collection one. Still a good figure, but I think his face is nailed there. That is so like Hayden. And his hair is slightly sandier. They made two in the Orange Line Black Series, but the second one is what you need to get hold of. Although each variation might vary, if that makes sense. I don't know. I think I got lucky with mine. It just sort of, I don't know. Some have got brown hair, some have got that sandy hair. So watch out which one you get if you're on eBay. Now I love this. Let's pull back and have a look at this Camino mashup. A bit of everything here. You've got the embryo. You've got your young clone. I wouldn't mind more of him actually to army build. Then you've got your older clone, your Bodhi Taylor clone. I don't like how he looks with the armor on, so it's quite nice just sprinkling it around, man. Just have it. Might be able to see a bit of the dust. A lot of people ask me about dust on these shelves. Doesn't get too dusty in here. I close it off this room, and the white doesn't show up dust as much as other stuff. Then you've got Tanwi on the left, and Lama Su on the right, the president. And then you've got a revelation I only realised recently, but the 30th anniversary Jango, right? And remember I said earlier I had too many Jangos. You can strip him of his armour, and he looks like that. I was so excited when I discovered that. And you can't take the belt off, though. Maybe another release of that you can, but somebody said, oh, you can take all that off. You can't. I've tried. You can't do it. And of course, a young Poncho, Dad, look, fire! Landing pad style, young Boba Fett, I'm sorry. So I like that, those two together. Don't get confused, that's not Boba there, that is a young clone. All the armour in the background there, see, that's the stuff. I love doing that, just spreading it out, like just Easter egg some things in and make it a little bit, fill the spaces. But then, of course, you've got probably one of my favourite Jango Fett figures. That's an awesome figure, that. 5 POA as well. It kicks ass. That screams movie poster to me. Then we take a little look to Geonosis now. I do want to get hold of the War Room battle plan thing, you know what I mean? I'd love the Death Star plans as well, that little thing. I'm sure there must be a figure or something for that. But what I mean is I've only got Puggle the Lesser here in one drone, and I've got him, the Techno Union Army. Is at your disposal, Count. You might have heard me say before, and I'll say it again, I don't like waste. So I have put a really crappy Dooku. It's not the best Dooku, that's awful. But I still thought I'd use him just to have a little bit of kind of like, it's like Darth Vader and Boba Fett, in it. That's what Lucas was looking for. It's like poetry, you know, they rhyme. It's like poetry, they rhyme. You know, it's like poetry, they rhyme. He wanted that visual of having, you know, your Sith Lord and your right-hand man, like Boba and Vader. You had Jango and Dooku, Tyrannus. But that's them there. Nice to have a good Jango without helmet. And in fact, I do like him. That's a good figure. That's a good sculpt. I always used to think of Tamora Morris and that. Moving on. Let's have our lovebirds. Take the poncho off this figure and it's incredible. Really good. It's a nice figure, that. That's the second release of it. I think it might be slightly superior. I feel a bit of an idiot, but that Padme figure came with a drink. And I remember opening it. I bought it mint from the 30th anniversary collection. And I must have thrown away the bloody drink in the packaging, man. What a terrible waste. But anyway, so there you go. It's a nice figure of Padme, that, though. That's pretty much the attire that she was wearing when they were getting cozy by the fire. Then we have a load of Jedi. I love these because they're just all in one pose. They're articulated, so you've got like robes flailing, but just have a look at them. You've got this fella, I've forgotten his name, please let me know or I can put it on the screen. Tib or something like that. I'm sure it's got a T in his name. Timor, something like that. Got it recently. Great figures here. Loads of Sith. You've got Kit Fisto. Sith? Bloody hell, what am I talking about? Jedi. You've got that. I love that Mace Windu. He's got a big turning key in the back of his back. A bit like a guitar tuning peg. But I've whipped around the cape, his cloak, so it covers that. It's just a play feature thing, but now it just looks like he's swinging his lightsaber like his golf clubs. You know, Samuel L. Jackson does play golf. In the back there, Sass-18, I believe. He used to come with a purple lightsaber, that figure, but I needed the purple lightsaber to go with a Revan figure I have. Then you've got this guy. I'd love him. The vintage collection one of him. They need to reissue that, man. That's expensive. It looks like a beautiful robe he has, but still that's a really good figure. Then, of course, you've got this guy, Ki-Adi-Mundi. See, these figures are very statuesque, but they're beautifully sculpted and got a lovely look to them. There, of course, you've got Shakti there. Brilliant. I don't have Barriss Offee to go with that. Forgotten her name as well. Bloody hell. Doing this live, ladies and gentlemen. It'll come to me. There's so many names to remember. It'll come to me. Offee? Barriss Offee? No, that's the other girl. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. This is the other Anakin I was telling you about. You know, you've got two variations of the Black Series one. There's the better one. This is the first one. He doesn't look as good, I don't think. He's got browner hair. But still, you need an Anakin with a green lightsaber for the Battle of Camino. And we have some battle droids here. Just a bit of a army building thing. And there's the flamey one there. So it's a nice trio, that there. These go so well together. Individually, they're crap figures. But there is a moment when they are back-to-back, seeing off attack. And in fact, there's a really funny cutscene from Attack of the Clones where Ewan McGregor says something like, "Good here, isn't it, sir?" Just taking the piss. That Mace Windu's weird, but it's still an interesting one. Look at his face. Let's go around here so you can have a look at the... Wow. But they're made with play feature and weird, hingy kind of limbs and stuff. But I like having them just stood together like that. And then we have another Django. Just thought I'd put that one there now. He's been in various different places over the years. I put him specifically there because he definitely is a second backpack version. And then we have battle droids. Now, it pains me to do this, but the two better of the battle droids are in the back. These are the vintage ones, right? That's actually Legacy Collection, the discontinued line one, and that one is from the Gandhi Vintage Collection. But because they're smaller figures in scale, I put these two clunky ones at the front from the older sculpt. And those are in the back. For what reason, ladies and gentlemen? Clever. Forced perspective, so they go bigger at the front, smaller at the back, gives you a bit of scale. That's how I roll, ladies and gentlemen. Over here, I like seeing these two together. That's accurate, that is. This R2 here was actually made for that purpose. It's an Attack of the Clones. It comes from the Black Series 3 3/4 inch orange card line. Very clean R2. It's very nice. You can use that on your original trilogy shelves as well. I have done in the past. I've got two of these actually. But it does come with the backpack things. Backpack, you know, jetpacks or whatever. So it's a bit like when he was at the end of the pedestal or whatever you call it, and he was in the droid factory. But then I love this 3PO. Very nice. I got rid of the one with the removable armor. That's a terrible figure, but this one's really nice. I got it from Tungori. But I can't remember what release of him it is, but it's still a good figure. In the background, you've got a little bit... Again, I don't like waist. That's a really rubbish Mace Windu. But he looks good. And look at his neck, man. If I show you the front of him and tell you why he looks rubbish, it just doesn't look like Samuel L. Jackson. No way. I'll show you a better one in a minute. I must open the vintage collection one. I've got one spare to open, but I'll do that later. And then making use of that Boba there, not Boba, Django from the, what's it called? The sneak preview Django. It's a good figure though. Just shooting towards him. That's just before he loses his head. Again, I'm just filling the spaces, guys. That's why I like to use these older figures that aren't really what you want in the forefront. And then we have just a little bit of clone action. Let me just pull out, hang on. Yeah. We'll put that there just to kind of signify. Maybe I put that there just because he does lose his head. I like these two together. These are brilliant clones. They've been as recent as 2011 or 12 or maybe 2010 in the Saga Legends line. But they've been everywhere. I think the same mold existed for 30th anniversary, but they're very good, and that's the only clone you can get with yellow on it. I really hoped that they would have repacked, or you know, they did the 4-pack. One of them was blue. They shouldn't have done that, man. They should have put one as yellow, because we've had a blue one before in the Lost line. You know? Oh, shh! In the Lost line TVC. Let me go and have a look at it now. Let me show. Whilst I'm over here, I'll show you this other base window. That's a 5 POA window, but I think that face is really good, man. I can see a lot more Simon Jackson in that. If I go the other side of this, there he is. There's the blue guy. Now, I think a fair few people have got that loose, and we've got the olive green one as well. You could get in Black Series, but I just think the yellow, they missed the trick there. Well, they could single card it. I don't know what they're going to do. Only they know that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it there. That's just a filler, not a very good figure. That's the sneak preview clone. I just thought I'd use him just to, again, show a little bit of scale. Different type of figure, different type of clone, different sculpt, mold, whatever you want to call it. But still, get him in there. Fill the space. Down here, ladies and gentlemen, there is a bit more Attack of the Clones. Just before we move on into the Genndy Clone Wars, we have this fella making a hasty retreat. Thank you, Lau, for this acrylic stand. And then we have Padme. She's just all on her own, though. I do need to maybe find another Anakin. You could use that Anakin there. That's really designed for it. That's an Attack of the Clones figure. You can see his metal arm by then, but that's such a good figure for early Clone Wars, and he's facing off Ventress there, as you can see. So really, you could find another Anakin. I mean, in with the cloak on would do, facing the other way. Speaking of facing the other way, this Anakin here looks great that way. Nice soft goods there to kind of depict his tunic, his leather. Is it a tunic, that front top bit? And there he is facing off against Dooku again. Great lightsaber fight that. You saw that figure I had earlier up there. They're quite clunky, those figures. I'll show you again in a minute, but this is for when Dooku did away with his green one first, then it was red v blue, and the lights went down. I loved it. Really good moment, that. And that's it. Then we move on. Oh, no, there isn't. No, it isn't. There's a figure of Dooku v Yoda. Love it. Then we have the Clone Wars. You've got the entrance of Ventress. They're definitely Clone Wars figures. That one with the poncho there. We move on. More Ventress and blah, 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 blah. In fact, I basically just ended up showing you that shelf, but I will show you that again. I'll do a separate Clone Wars video. Over here, what was I saying? If we go to the top, you'll see these two. And I love these two figures together. Terrible figures. It looks nothing like Anakin, that, but it looks good because you can have, they're magnetic as well. The hands of he's got metal hands, and so has Dooku. So I've got him, like, I'm laughing at myself here. Anyone who sees my channel and watches my videos will have probably heard me say this for God knows how many times, but I have him holding it like that. He's supposed to be kind of grabbing it. It's got a magnet on it. It just looks like he's sort of in mid-spin. It looks like he's kind of in mid-spin, doesn't it? When he's holding it like that, he could be just rotating it or something. He's not gripping it, is he? He's just sort of like, I'm just making use of the magnets, basically. It looks a bit nifty, like he could be spinning it or something. Mid-spin. I don't know. And we'll finish on the accolade, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for bearing with me with that. I hope I've not exhausted you. I feel, again, exhausted as I've just been talking 10 to the dozen. But again, it's a pleasure to share my collection with you and show you how I have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, join me again for more videos. I'll be looking at Revenge of the Sith. We'll have a look at Clone Wars. We'll dive into the original trilogy as well. There's lots to show you. And it will be my pleasure. This has been Only One Kenobi, Only One. Out.